This is Greg Fraser from Stormforce. You might know me from my old band Brighton Rock, and you're listening and rocking to the Nothing Shocking podcast. Woo!
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking podcast, a non-genre based, all ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Antid, and with me in Dog Bowl Studios is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Libsyn or any podcatchers. Like our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter at NoShockPod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. Our sponsor is Ragged Records, located in downtown Rock Island, Illinois, and downtown Davenport, Iowa. We would like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for allowing us to use their music for our intro and bumper ending. And our guest is
Greg Fraser of Stormforce.
And Brighton Rock. Stormforce is working on new material. They're in the studio right now, writing, recording music for a new album.
And if you haven't heard their first one, Age of Fear from 2020, check it out.
Yeah, and I think this should be out by the end of the year. So let's get to this interview.
All right, good night.
Good night. Greg, welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'd like to introduce you, my co-host, Jeff Antid.
Greg, thanks for joining us tonight.
Nice talking to you, Jeff. Thanks for having me on.
Fantastic. Well, you know, many of our listeners know you from Brighton Rock. You are also a member of Stormforce. Can you give our listeners an insight of the origins of Stormforce?
God, it would be probably 3-4 years ago. I should back up even a little further. A little bit before that, Brighton Rock got back together and do some festival shows over in Europe and stuff like that. So, you know, we got the ball rolling. I mean, we were talking about doing a new record and stuff like that, and it didn't really happen. It didn't pan out. But in the meantime, you know, I'm always songwriting, so songs tend to accumulate, and I decided to make a record with just some guys that I know around where I live here in Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada, by the way. Mm-hmm. Because I found that in the past, even with the Brighton Rock guys, you know, we all live like an hour, a couple hours away from each other. It's always tough to get together to rehearse and write together, and just even having like band meetings or just hanging out and having a couple of beers and stuff. So I wanted my new project to be local guy, so I found the best of the best of the best, and happen to be good friends of mine, and that started the ball rolling. So I just decided to record some songs. Didn't really plan on doing a new record, but I kind of did in the back. But you know, it's like I just like to hear a voice to my songs and stuff like that. So, you know, I recruited my good friend Pat Gallardi, and he sang on a couple of songs, and I was blown away. It's like, oh my God, this is so much better than I could have ever imagined. So we just decided to keep going, and then you know, we should make a record, man. I mean, yeah. it's a shame just to do one or two songs and just, you know, it gets kind of lost. It might have a little more impact. So we just kept going, and then to make a long story short, we got Brighton Rock got offered a record deal out of the blue because we were going to be doing the Monsters of Rock cruise and stuff like that. And but the guys, we just weren't wasn't going to be happening. So I mentioned, but by the way, I have a new band I'm working on. We're working on a new record, and then the record company goes, well, let me hear. So I sent them stuff, and they wanted to sign us. But the label itself, I wasn't sure about. They're based out of Europe. So I started putting some feelers out and going, do you guys aware of this record label? Yeah, they're a little shoddy. I'd probably stay away. You should maybe try Escape out of the UK. So, okay. So then as I talked to other people, a few people were mentioning Escape Records out of the UK. And so I just put a feeler out to them, and they hopped on board. They said, yeah, let's do a record right away. It's like, whoa, we're not really ready. We've only got about 6 or 7 songs, but they wanted it like now. So now the pressure was on, which was kind of good because, we were just taking our time. It's like almost like a hobby. Like, we'll see in a couple of weeks, and we'll work on another song. So, but now there was deadlines, and it kind of kicked us into gear. So then we really took it a lot more serious. And then once we got the record done, it was released right in time for COVID. Yeah. But right, yeah, it was literally, we released it at the end of January 2020, so, basically February. 1 month later, COVID kicks in. But anyways, we happened to get some really good reviews from all over the world, really inspiring, and so that's where we're at right now. We've only played actually one show because of COVID. It was a rescheduled show over the last couple of years, but it went fantastic, and in the meantime, we're working on Stormforce 2.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, Stormforce will be releasing the second album, Stormforce 2, sometime. Can you compare and contrast the creative process from the debut album to this sophomore album?
It's the same process as when I was in Brighton Rock. I'm the chief songwriter in Brighton Rock, and what I would do, I'd write most of the music to completion almost, including the vocal melodies.
Oh, cool.
So I'd have like a basic drum machine to get a rhythm going, and then I'd add my guitar parts and a basic bass pattern just to flesh out a song, and then I'd hum vocal melodies. So you'd hear what the singer would sing, but there'd be no lyrics. So that's how I'd present it to the guys in Brighton Rock, and then, they'd put their own spin on things, and then the singer would hear the basic melody, what he would sing, and then write lyrics to it, and then and so it's been the same way with Stormforce. So the whole first Stormforce record that's the way it was presented, and the way we did it, and we're doing the same way now. It seems to work out great, and when I present songs to the guys, it's like, hey, if they're not into it, don't worry, man. I got a boatload of other ones right behind it, so. It's just never-ending songs. I've got, I've been writing for 40 years now, so I've got, decades of songs and riffs and stuff like that just accumulating, and, you only have room for about 10, 11 songs on a record, CD, whatever you want to call it these days. So there's no shortage of songs. It's just trying to find the best songs. And then to make sure that they all work together on, one cohesive effort, right? So it all sounds good back to back to back. You don't want that one song that it's really good, but it doesn't really fit the record. So, you got to watch that kind of stuff too, So, yeah, so it's the same process, and it seems to be working fine.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. How many songs do you typically write for an album before you record?
Well, I like to do 10. I don't like to, since when CDs came out, now you can put, with vinyl, you can only get 30, 40 minutes. Yeah. And once you get a little past that, you start losing sound quality. But with CDs, you can get 70, 80 minutes. So,
right.
So now we can put, 15 songs on here. And I've always found that you get tired of a record. I mean, all my favorite records from the 70s and the 80s, you listen to Van Halen's first record, it's 35 minutes long. You know what I mean? All those early records, they're all 35, 45 minutes at the most. And it makes you, when you hear that last song, it kind of, if you like the record, it leaves you wanting more instead of getting tired of it. Because I find with now, a lot of records, there's too many songs. And you get kind of fatigued from it. It's like, okay, it was good, but I think I've had enough, right? So, my approach has always been leave them wanting more. So, that's what we did for the first record. We had 10 songs, and then for Japan, they always want a bonus track, so we did a bonus track for them. So if you buy the CD in Japan, it's 11 songs, but everywhere else it's 10 songs. And we want to do the same thing this time, so.
Oh, so cool. How do you and the rest of the band view Stormforce? Is this a long-term band, or do you view it more as a project? Where's your mind?
No, this is my band. If the guys are still in it, this is the band I'll be dying in. This is my band for the rest of my life, man. They're super guys. I love those guys, man. We get along so good. We hang out. We can, we talk hockey. We talk, sports. We talk movies. We're not just band associates. We're actual friends, and it's such a refreshing thing to be with guys like that, because nothing worse than being in a band. You get that one guy you don't get along with, but you kind of need him because he's got the talent or he's got the look or what have you, But with these guys, these guys can all deliver the goods, like top-notch players and singer, and we get along great. So it's fun, man. I like being in a gang of guys,
Absolutely.
It's like when you're growing up, you know what I mean? You have your boys, right? And go hang out. And, then you get married, have kids and stuff like that, and then you don't do it as much anymore. So with the band, you still kind of do it, Like I grew up playing hockey and lacrosse and football and stuff, when I was younger and stuff. So you get a group of guys together, you can have fun with each other, and I want to keep that going. I love making music with these guys, and I intend to do it for the rest of my life, hopefully.
Oh, so cool.
Well, you talked about Pat on vocals. Who are some of the other guys in the band?
Our bass player, Mike Berardelli. It's Berardelli, but he's Italian, so he was Mike Berardelli. He makes some mean spaghetti sauce, too. It's authentic Italian from his mother. He showed me the recipe, and I swear to God, it's the best sauce I've ever had in my life. And on drums, we got Roger Banks. He's a drum legend out of Hamilton. He's our new drummer. He wasn't on the first record. We made a drum change, and this guy's unbelievable. I mean, he grew up in the Neil Peart school of drumming and stuff like that. So he does drum clinics. You can look him up on YouTube. He's got some solos that'll just make your jaw drop. And then for keyboards, we have a guy for live and some recording. His name is Mike Bedrosian. We just call him Benny. So he helps out on keys and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a great project, great bunch of guys, and I'm so honored to be with them.
Oh, so cool. Kind of want to switch gears on you here to Brighton Rock. Was a band that has been very active playing throughout the years. We do want to give our condolences of the passing of Jerry McGee back in 2020, passing of cancer, correct?
Yes, thank you very much for that, yes.
Between Jerry's passing and the COVID-19 pandemic, I guess maybe what is the status of Brighton Rock? Is it still a band?
No. We when Jerry passed away, that was it. We're not. He's such a focal point of the band that we couldn't even imagine replacing him. I mean, our new singer Pat can probably fill in if we wanted to do stuff like that, but it's not the same. To me, it's like, I don't want to compare, make it sound like we think we're as good as this band, like something like Led Zeppelin or the Stones. You know what I mean? Like if Mick Jagger passed away, could you imagine anybody else trying to fill those shoes?
Exactly.
Like, it has to be Mick Jagger. You know what I mean? It has to be Steven Tyler and Aerosmith. It has to be Robert Plant. You know what I mean? Not too many bands pulled it off. I mean, you got Van Halen and you got AC/DC. They pulled it off, but I don't know. We just knew there's no way we could ever go. I'd feel guilty going out and calling my band Brighton Rock without Jerry there, because he's such an important part. His voice, his sound, his attitude. Just and even in the dressing room, we're hanging out, like he has to be there because he was there since pretty much day one. Mm-hmm. I mean, we got our record deal in 1986, and we toured all over the place together. I could never imagine playing with Brighton Rock without him. But I must admit, Stormforce, we are doing some Brighton Rock songs. We did 3 at our show there, April 30th. But I would never say, we're the new Brighton Rock. I mean, we just aren't,
Understandable.
Yeah. In 2000, was it 18 or 19? You guys did a new single, End of Time, and it was the first single in 28 years. Are there any other tracks you got laying around that maybe you could release an EP?
No, like in 2012 and 2013, I mentioned earlier, we went and did some festivals over in England and stuff like that, and we got such a rush off of that, being in front of a big crowd after all these years, because we broke up. We said that was it. So then, all of a sudden, people every once in a while we'd get offers, but the ones in England sounded like fun. You guys want to do it? Yeah, let's do it, man. So we got back together, and it's like, wow, we couldn't believe it, because I really personally thought we'd never get back together again, because everybody's off doing their own things. Jerry had a really successful vinyl pressing company. Like very successful, and that took all his time up and stuff like that. So he just couldn't do the Brighton Rock full-time thing. So it's just a casual approach. So then we got such a buzz off of the 2012 festival, and we got invited back the following year. It's like, hey, let's do a record, man. That one we play there next year, we'll have a new record, and then we tried to get it off the ground. I mentioned earlier, we just couldn't get it off the ground. So that one song you were talking about, End of Time, that was the only song that, from all the recording sessions that we did, that was a complete track. There was other tracks that were completed, but it didn't have vocals or didn't have lyrics or didn't have a bass. The one you heard, that was the only song that was completed, like from all the guys in the band from start to finish. So when we did the Monsters of Rock cruise, that song was just sitting there, and I suggested, let's get this thing mixed, man. And, it'd be nice to go on the Monsters of Rock cruise with a new song for old time's sake. So I got my old buddy, Bo Hill. He mixed the track. I don't know, are you familiar with Bo Hill? He did all the early Rat and Winger and Warrant and stuff like that. Yeah, so I had a previous band. I did a couple solo records before Stormforce called Fraser Gang, Fraze. Fraser Gang, and Bo Hill did mixing on all the second record and one of the songs in the first record. So, so we got him to mix End of Time, and to answer your question, that's the only song that's completed. And we could go in and maybe try to salvage some of those songs, but no, it's not right. I hate to do that without Jerry's approval. I hate when people do that with guys that pass away, and all of a sudden they go in the vaults and start releasing songs that I don't think the artist was ready to have the world listen to, but they're just doing it to make money and stuff like that, and I hate it. They're doing that. I heard they're doing that with Prince. These guys, he's got a vault with like 1,000 songs.
Yes.
And, and now they want to start making all these Prince records. It's like, wait a minute, that's not right. He's not giving you final approval. So that's just my opinion.
Well, you said that you wrote, for 40 plus years, and you have riffs for 40 years worth. I guess when it comes to getting into your riff vault, if you could kind of compare and contrast the riff writing from Stormforce to Brighton Rock, is it one of those kind of things like, hey, this riff was for Brighton Rock, but hey, we're just going to go ahead and bring it on to Stormforce? Is that a fair enough assessment? Are you doing that?
Well, there's a song. There's one song on the Stormforce record. We did a video called "Breathe." That was going to be that was one of the songs that was going to be on the Brighton Rock record, but we couldn't finish. Like, Jerry never wrote lyrics for it. He did hear the vocal melody, but it just wasn't finished. So then, when we're doing the Stormforce record, we're doing song by song, and then I played for the guy. Hey, what do you think about this one? This is one that I kind of still like, but it's a shame that it's just sitting there not doing anything. And they all went, yeah, let's try it. So that's what happened. That's an actual Brighton Rock song that the guys tried to make an attempt at, but we just couldn't get it off the ground. But other than that, when I'm writing, I don't really write like for the band. I just write. I mean, I'll have songs that might have like more of a classical feel to it, maybe a bit of funk and stuff like that, which won't fit on a Stormforce record or a Brighton Rock record. But when I hear something buzzing in my head, I got to get it down, so I'll record it, and then, okay, there it is, you know. Maybe that song could be used for somebody else. I mean, I have a couple of songs that kind of have a country flavor. I would never think of putting it on a Stormforce record, but, you know, there maybe some country artists might want it, you know. So, hey, what? I could take that and do something with it. So, you know, I really love the art of songwriting. I'm a big fan of songwriting and songwriters. You'd be shocked to hear what I'm listening to sometimes in the car when I'm driving around. I mean, sometimes it's the most corniest stuff you'll ever hear, but I love the way the songs are written. I mean, just the other day I was listening to Engelbert Humperdinck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he has a couple of great songs. I go, man, listen to that. That song is you know, a great, well-written song by, you know, you can tell the really, you know, high-end musicians and stuff like that. But it's, you know, it's not hard rock. You know, I mean, I could listen to ABBA. You know what I mean? I can listen to Air Supply. I can listen to Barry Manilow. I can, you know, I love Billy Joel. I love Elton John. I mean, stuff that's not hard rock by any stretch of the imagination. But good songs are good songs.
Yeah.
And the way I always tell a good song is you can strip it down to its basic form just with an acoustic and a vocal. And if that song still sounds good like that, you know you got a good song, a good, well-written song, you know. You don't have to disguise it with all effects and bells and whistles and stuff to enhance what's not there. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of songwriting, and I forgot what your original question was, but I hope I answered it.
You did. Yes, you did.
Well, I was going to ask you about the song Breathe, because that one ended up being a duet, and I think it was Serena Prine. Can you talk a little bit about that process?
Yeah, so when the song was finished, I thought Pat nailed it. And then when we're sitting back, looking at the record, hearing it, you know, in order, I'm thinking, man, for some reason I'm just hearing a duet. I mean, I kind of like to hear a girl singing that. And Pat goes, oh man, really? Like, oh, I love what I did. I go, Pat, you nailed it, man. Trust me. If it never worked out, nobody's gonna know about it. Nobody's gonna know about it because you still have a killer version. So. Pat sang the first verse, and then Serena came in. She sang the second verse. And she basically copied what Pat was singing, but now it's a female voice. She put her own little spin on a couple of little things here and there, but it just added a whole new flavor to the song that wasn't there before, and it really, to me, lifted the song. It brought it to a new area that I kind of think enhanced the record. Instead of just being one-dimensional all the way through, it just gives a little bit more taste, a little bit more flavor. And then if you look at the video, she kills it. I mentioned this before in some other videos. You would think that it's her band, and we're just backing her up. She's got such a rock star personality and persona. She's a big rock star here in Niagara Falls. Like she has a band called the Mandevilles. Back in 2019, they toured with Hart and Joan Jett across Canada.
Oh wow!
So she's no stranger to the big country stages, and she was a great addition. And you know, we to this day I can't thank her enough. We just did a show, like I mentioned, April 30th, our debut show. And she came up and did that song live, and it was phenomenal, cool. Man. Like I was getting goosebumps on stage. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe how great this sounds. You know, it's such a rush. You know, after all these years, I still get that rush, man.
Oh, so cool.
You guys made videos for that Breath and for Breathe and for Dirty Vegas. Can you talk a little bit about the process for making videos with Stormforce? Is it still something that you know? There's not that MTV medium, but is it still that necessary product to promote the band?
Well, I think it is a necessary because people now, when you know, there's so many people making records. It's so easy to make a record now. Back in in the 80s when Brighton Rock got a record deal, it was hard to make a record. You had to have a record deal because studios are so expensive and stuff like that. You couldn't just go and unless you're rich, but most musicians aren't, right? So you had to get a completed record, you had to really have your act together. And then when videos came along in the 80s and stuff like that, that really brought things to a new level.
Yeah.
So now with smartphones and and all this stuff like that, anybody can record a song now. So it's really hard to get noticed. I mean, if you're looking on Facebook, you're just scrolling. It's just, I got lots of musicians want me to be their friends, and they're always sending me songs and, hey man, check my band. And then after a while, it's like, wow, you're just overwhelmed by it. So sometimes when you see a video, oh, wait a minute, let's check this out. It seems to be more enticing than just a track by itself, So, and then plus it still helps sell the band. I mean, or it could hurt your band. I mean, look what happened with Billy Squier back in the day when he did that one last video of it. It literally. Remember that?
Yes.
It ruined his career. Remember, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was like in a heart-shaped bed, and it was like pink satin sheets.
Yes.
And rolling around on it, trying to be sexy and all this stuff. I was like, dude, what are you doing, man? So all the guys are immediately turned off. It's like, what? And that ruined his career. So you got to watch it too when you do videos and stuff like that. You got to make sure, you have some kind of control over that. So, when it comes to editing, stuff like that. But I'm sure being Billy Squier, he must have had the final say. He goes, oh, look how hot I look, man. The girl's going to love me now. And it ruined his career, man. Yeah. So, yeah, but yeah, I still think videos is a necessary tool to help promote the band. And we plan on doing videos, for the new record coming up.
Nice.
Hopefully, it ain't cheap.
Yeah.
But, it is necessary. It is necessary.
Well, I still enjoy them. Thanks for doing them.
It seems like the Canadian rock scene is still a thriving thing, opposed to in the States. The rock scene is very secondary here. Can you give us a little bit of a rundown what the Canadian rock scene is like these days? I mean, obviously, it's not what it was, but it seems like it's still a thriving thing.
Can I ask you a question? What makes you think that it's thriving here? What gives you that indication?
Okay,
because I don't think it is.
I'm still seeing lots of releases to buy.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
Oh, it's just like I find, especially with live original acts around here, it's really hard to get a following now. Like back in the Brighton Rock days, when live entertainment was very important, because in the early '80s you didn't have computers and you didn't have satellite TV and big screen TVs and 100 channels, and live entertainment was very important, and now it's not. So all the bars and clubs and stuff like that would support original music back in the day are all gone. Like around where I live here, there's no band. If you're an unknown band with an original, good luck getting paid. Good luck getting a gig. No bands or bar or club's going to touch you. They want tribute bands, or they want top 40 bands that's going to get people up and dancing and drinking, stuff like that. So the concert scene is not thriving. So you got to really build your following to prove that you could still put butts in the seats. And you can go to a club and go, hey, man, we want to play this club. Well, I've never heard of you. Well, we got a record out. Well, it means nothing to me. So it's tough. So I don't know if it's as thriving as you might think it is. I'm kind of really disappointed with it, actually, because we're struggling trying to find some, proper concert. We happen to have one here around Niagara Falls, and, because maybe because of the Brighton Rock, it kind of helped. So, we happen to sell that out. But there's not a lot of places that will do that, will take that risk anymore, because we haven't did, a band like I said, Storm Force. It's our debut record. We haven't toured with anybody. We've only did one show. So we're kind of an unproven act, really. Unless you show them, hey, look at this Pocket Motors in Norway. How about Germany? How about Australia? All these UK, we're getting 10 out of, all these reviews. It looks great, but doesn't mean they're going to, sign you or hire you. So it's a struggle. And, if you're good, hopefully people will pass the word around and help things out. But it's a struggle, man. I got to admit it.
And another reason why I feel the way that when I said that is that we have Canadian artists that are eager to get on the podcast, like yourself. Whenever we send out invitations to different artists, the Canadian artists are always the first ones to jump on and want to be on the Nothing Shocking podcast. So I was like, well, obviously the Canadian artists are a little bit more ambitious to sell themselves, so maybe it's got to be a little bit better of a scene up there. Pardon my ignorance.
Yeah, we definitely are ambitious. I mean, when I did find back in, I hate to keep talking about the old dinosaur days of the '80s, but back then we could play literally six nights a week. So you can really fine tune your chops and stuff like that. So, if you're a band that's trying to get their shit together, there was tons of places to play. All Northern Ontario, Quebec, and stuff like that, and all these different provinces. So you could play and play and play and play. So you really fine tune and you get a really well tuned band. So, when opportunities arrive, we're ready to go. Yes, man, for sure. Any way to promote, let's do it. Because, Canada's a small country compared to America. I mean, we're literally, you're over 300 million. We're only over 30 million. So there's more people living in California than the entire country of Canada. So there you go, right?
Well said.
Yeah, but yeah. So how small we are, we definitely are ambitious. But I find that a lot of other countries have a lot of ambitious. Sweden, for some reason, there's a plethora of bands coming out of there with really, really killer songs and killer records, and just look at I just seen the new lineup for Monsters of Rock for 2023. They got 3 or 4 bands just from Sweden alone, and that's a small country, So. I appreciate what you're saying, though. I like hearing that you think that we're all ambitious, and I kind of think we are, too. So.
Very good.
Well, I mean, it kind of goes along with the question of, is rock dead? And, and from the live aspect, it seems dwindling. But from the album aspect, I'll tell anybody to listen to Storm Force if they think rock's dead, because it's a killer album.
Well, I mean, it kind of is dead in a way. Like if you go listen, you watch the Grammys or the Billboard Music Awards and stuff like that. There's no rock anymore. I mean, anybody that's winning awards, you don't hear guitar on their records. You don't hear. You might hear a drum machine, but there's no 4-piece rock bands that are making a big splash anymore. And it's a shame. Because, I'm still a fan of real music. With real musicians standing beside each other and creating this music that's, can change your mood, can make you cry, can make you want to kill somebody, can make you laugh, can make you anything. I mean, it brings out so much emotion. And it's honest rock and roll, and I still believe in that. I hate these bands now. The big thing now, they're all using backing tracks with pre-recorded backing vocals, and the drummers playing to a click track and all that kind of stuff. I hate it. I can't stand it. To me, I've been in a position before where the guys want. It's not so much Storm Force, but like in other little stuff, I've been. Oh no, come on, let's do that. No, man, that's like having a ball and chain. Now you're stuck to a guy playing to a click track, and it just loses its rock and roll. Like, could you imagine listening to Bohemian Rhapsody with a click track? You couldn't do it because there's all these tempo changes, and you know what I mean. Imagine putting that to a click track; it would be horrendous. So I miss that kind of stuff. But rock is dead. It depends who you ask. To me, rock will never be dead because that's all I will continue to listen to the day I die. I still worship my 70s records, my Deep Purples, my Uriah Heep and Rainbow and White Snake and Scorpions and all that kind of stuff, man, and early Van Halen. To me, that's rock and roll. Bad Company. And so I'll always cater towards any bands out there that are continue to write that style of music. I'm there with them, man. I'll be the first guy buying the record. So it's not, rock is not dead in my eyes, but to the masses, to the record industry, it kind of is. If you look at all the biggest selling stuff these days, it ain't rock. So it's a shame, but but I do see a lot of younger musicians starting to pick up guitars and stuff like that. And I heard because of COVID, everybody being home, a lot of younger kids started picking up instruments. So that's encouraging, you know. They're sitting at home and they're playing guitars and drums and bass. Like, yeah, man, that's great. It's better than you playing a turntable and and pressing play on your laptop.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have one last question for you, and this kind of capitalizes off
Sure.
Jeff's question is, the mystery of rock and roll with the internet, social media, it's kind of like a dead thing. It's lost its luster. Bands like Zeppelin and Kiss and Deep Purple, and we could just go down the list, Ozzy and so forth. These bands really had a mystery to them. Like, you didn't really know much about them on a social level, but with the dawning of social media, with the internet, we pretty much know everything about the artist. In your thought process, what do you prefer? Do you prefer the mystery of rock and roll, or do you like today's accessibility of the artist?
Well, I mean, being a fan when I was a young fan in my teens, mystique was a huge part of rock stardom. You know what I mean? Like, with Kiss, you never seen them without their makeup, and you never, back in the, I'm 59 years old, so back in the early 70s and stuff like that, you never even heard people, like when Van Halen's first record came out in '78, there was no videos, there was not, so you never knew what they looked like live other than photographs. You never knew how they moved on stage. You never knew how they talked. Yeah. This is before MTV, so they weren't on Johnny Carson, like those type of bands and all these Tonight shows and stuff. So you never heard them actually have a conversation. You knew nothing about them. Everything was all based on photographs and stuff like that. So I mean, those are my Bibles: Circus and Hit Raider and Cream and Metal Edge and all that kind of stuff. Oh, like I worship that stuff because that's where you dug in, like Led Zeppelin and all that kind of stuff. It was the mystique was a huge part of what they were all about. It's like, but now, you see Davey Roth backstage eating a sandwich and he's, hey, what's going on? It's like, okay, well, the mystique's kind of gone there now. But but then again, it's a vicious cycle because you have to play that game now to rise above all the clutter of all these millions and millions of bands that are releasing stuff every minute.
Right.
I mean, it's just, so how are you going to get noticed? So you got to play that social media game. The mystique is gone. You got to put everything out there now. You can't hold stuff back because record companies don't really exist anymore. Which was, back in the day, that was a very important thing because they were a machine. They're the ones getting you on big tours. They're the ones getting you played on the radio. They're the ones getting you on MTV and in Canada, Much Music, So now, without that, you're on your own, man. So you got to put yourself out there. I mean, you see these people on TikTok and stuff like that. They're becoming millionaires.
Exactly.
Just for being goofy and not necessarily having a lot of talent, But I kind of hate it, but you got to do it, man. You got to do it, or you'll just get buried.
Yep.
So.
Well said. We're out of our allotted time for the evening. Is there anything that you would like to plug or promote that we did not cover tonight?
No, not at all. You guys are fantastic interviewers. I really appreciate this. We do have a website, stormforce.ca, and we're on Facebook and Twitter and then Instagram and stuff like that. If you guys, anybody of your listeners out there want to check us out, we do have some videos. We got 2 band videos, and then we got like a lyric video for our first song, Because of You. And you guys mentioned the video for Dirty Vegas and also Breathe. They're all on YouTube, and you can get them on our website. Once again, stormforce.ca. And yeah, that's about it, guys. I really appreciate you having me on. It's a pleasure talking to you guys. Anytime you guys want to do it again, let's do it, man.
Oh, for sure.
I must mention that you guys are in Illinois. I'm a lifelong Chicago Blackhawks fan, so
Nice.
I'm not sure if you guys are, but
we are.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
This is how it's going to work. We're about 4 weeks behind on our episodes. So Jeff, the editing wizard over here, he'll probably have this out toward the end of June. When it's all ready and polished up, I'll send you the link. Please share it on your socials wherever you can.
Sounds great, guys. It's a pleasure talking to you. Let's do it again.
Absolutely. Take care of yourself. Good night.
Thanks. Thanks, man.
Stone and makes their own mistakes. Hide in the headlights, fight the grip of fear. You can make your dreams come true, but you just can't do it here. Hey. Inside their head, everybody
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The Sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.